We are live on Capitol Hill, a news conference by some members of the Republican leadership over the government shutdown. This is Kathy Morris. Let's listen.
Of the House Republican Conference, and with me are several of my colleagues from the House. We were here late last night, almost midnight, taking action after midnight.
Eric Clapton,
after midnight, taking action to ensure that the government would be kept open. Now, today, we see where the Senate doors are shut. They're locked. Senator Harry Reid says it is inevitable that the government is going to shut down. Well, if the Senate doesn't act, it may be inevitable. But we're here to say that the Senate needs to act. Why are they waiting? Why aren't those doors open? And with me, I'd like to have my colleagues share some of their perspective, starting with Tim Griffin, gentleman from Arkansas.
Thank you.
Yes.
Tim Griffin, 2nd District of Arkansas. You know, I think the fact that the senators aren't here and Harry Reid is off somewhere is all the evidence you need to know that they want to shut down the government. I've been told that by high-level Democrats in town that this has been a plan for a while. And I personally believe that Senator Reid and the President, for political purposes, want to shut down the government. That's a scorched earth policy, and it's like what they used with sequestration, where they blamed every bad thing in the world on sequestration, which was the President's idea. And they made decisions within the agencies to make the political pain as bad as it could be. I believe that's the plan here. And the only evidence you need, folks, is the fact that they're not here. This is the old football strategy. When you get to where you want to be in a football game, you run out the clock. You run out the clock because you think you like where you are. That's exactly what's going on here. If they really cared whether this government would shut down or not, they would be here instead of saying that they'll be back tomorrow afternoon at some point. At some late hour, they'll pass something, and then they'll say, oh my gosh, we've run out of time. Well, yeah, they've run out of time because they're not here. That's it. That is precisely what they're doing. We were here till way in the morning last night, doing everything we can. I'll say this. We hear a lot about my way or the highway. We've already had 2 proposals that we've sent over to them. They're stuck on the first one. Sounds like my way or the highway is the Senate way. So we're just asking them, in good faith, come back and do what is required in a democracy, and that is to negotiate and work with us instead of being off wherever they are today. So we just ask them to come back and get something done and work with us to avoid a shutdown. I think a shutdown is bad policy, and I also think it's bad politics, and we're doing everything we can to avoid it. I'm going to turn it over to some of my colleagues here. Just ask that people make sure to give your name and your district.
I'm Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee 7th Congressional District. We were just talking. I said we could have a great country album going out of this. I said, I feel like, oh brother, where art thou? Only it's so Senate, where art thou? They were too preoccupied to work yesterday. They're too busy to come back today. And what they're trying to do is shut down the government. This is what President Barack Obama wants. This is all part of his game plan. Shut it down so he can get the checkbook, and so he and Attorney General Eric Holder can decide what parts of the federal government are going to stay open. Now, they keep saying, oh, well, it's all because of Obamacare. Let me tell you something right now. We have tried to work with them on these issues. The American people have asked us repeatedly to address the cost, the inconvenience, the loss of access to health care, the loss of access to jobs that have come about because of Obamacare. We are doing our job on behalf of the American people. We continue to invite the President and the Senate to come work with us and to help us negotiate the issues around the continuing resolution and the debt ceiling. So, Senate, get on back to town.
Ann Wagner, Missouri 2nd District in St. Louis. We are here to work. And the Senate has been absent for 2 full days. We're doing the work of the American people, our constituents. We all have families. We're here. Unlock those doors, I say to Harry Reid, and come out and do your job. The Senate must ask. They must act. We do not want to shut this government down. It's wrong, and we want to work and negotiate and get the job done. Where's the Senate?
Basically, I'm Louis Gohmert from the 1st District of Texas. Basically, on Friday, the Senate, led by Harry Reid, makes it clear, well, we're going to take a just a lazy break until Monday at 2 o'clock. The clock's running out, and they're not here. It was our way or the highway is what the Senate said on Friday. And we hear from Senate Democrats and the president that Obamacare is the law. So just forget about it. It's not changing. I would remind the president, Harry Reid, Senate Democrats, the debt ceiling is the law as well. And unless you want that shoved back in your face, then you need to be flexible and help American people. We've heard from hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people in my office who have already been hurt by Obamacare. He's given hundreds and hundreds of waivers and exemptions to cronies and those who supported him in the election. And who's left out? The American people. The American people want an exemption, want a waiver for at least a year. He's given it to business. Now come on back and let's do the right thing by America, and let's give the American people an exemption for a year as well. That's all we ask.
I'm Vicki Hartzler from Missouri, and I grew up on a farm. My husband and I farm today, and on the farm, I learned something. You work at the job until you get that job done. Sometimes when I was a little girl, my dad would get me a task on the farm, and I'd get to doing it, and I'd tell him, hey, I'm done. And he'd look at it and says, nope, it's not done well enough. Go back and do it again. And I learned the value of staying at it until you get the job done and you do it well. And that's why I'm here today. That's why I'm not home with my family. That's why all of us are here. It's because we care about the people that we represent. They deserve better than they're getting right now when this Senate leaves them high and dry, and we might have a Democratic shutdown in this country. We do not need that, and that's why we're here working. And we ask the Senate to come back, get the job done, show you care about the American people. We're going to continue to be here till this job is done because we care. Thank you.
Sean Duffy, Wisconsin 7. It is 4:13 on Sunday afternoon. We are less than 32 hours away from a government shutdown. And where's the Senate? They're not here. Listen, the American people understand that this is divided government. And when you have divided government, you need both sides to come together, work together to get the job done. The job doesn't get done when the Senate doors are closed and we're 32 hours away from a shutdown. Let's come together. Let's work together. Let's do the job for the American people. That doesn't happen unless they're here. So tomorrow, coming back at 2 in the afternoon, 10 hours away from a shutdown, our country expects more than that. They deserve better than that. Come back today. Let's work together. Let's keep the American government open and running. Thanks.
I'm Bill Johnson from the Ohio 6th Congressional District. You know, the American people have made it very clear that they ask us to do two things. They ask us to address the health care law because it's hurting middle-class Americans. They also ask us to keep the federal government funded. And we've tried now twice to do that with this Senate. They expect leadership. The American people expects leadership in addressing these issues. And you know, leadership is not about wearing a title or sitting in a big office. It's about influencing the outcome. It's about producing the results. So I ask you today, where is the leadership in the Senate? The House is here. We've been here. We're going to stay here until the job is finished. I urge the Senate to come back.
All right, they're all pretty much saying the same thing. Whereas the U.S. Senate, our political insiders are here. Want to go one by one on 3 points. And, Doug, the first one is one of the congressmen said, we're doing everything we can to avoid a shutdown. That is not true, is it?
No, it isn't. They could negotiate without preconditions. They could do a clean bill without Obamacare, separate health care out. Bottom line, they're not doing that. And what you don't see you don't see John Boehner, the Speaker. You don't see Eric Cantor, the Majority Leader.
And why?
Because they don't want to be part of this. They want their members to have a voice. This is more a group therapy session.
Yeah. Pat, another accusation here is that the president and Democrats want a government shutdown. And actually, the polling data that you and I were looking at about 20 minutes ago might support that.
Yeah, I think it's so. And by the way, if Boehner was interested in hearing his members, we'd have a Benghazi special committee. But let's not get into that. Yes, the Democrats want to shut down. This has been Bear Rabbit all along. Please, please don't throw them in the briar patch. Unfortunately, I think what you're saying is the optics that the Harry Reid is doing by not being there, by not doing it, will contribute to the idea of Americans believing they both parties blew this thing up.
John, what about the optics here? They could arguably be ugly and risky for Harry Reid. He's not convening the Senate until literally just a few hours before the government shutdown at 2 p.m. tomorrow, and, of course, the president playing golf.
Yeah, well, they've gotten soft because the media always supports the Democrats in these things and always says it's the Republicans' fault. And in the end, I think Republicans will get more of the blame than the Democrats, but the Democrats are going to get blamed too. And this thing we've been watching is all throwing the snake on the other guy.
All right, we're about 33 hours away from a government shutdown. It would appear to be inexorable unless something radically different happens. This has been a Fox News alert.